I started the website first. I'd been on television before that, but I initially saw the Nerdist site as kind of the base of operations. Like that's where I'm going to put the most of my voice online, I thought. And then a year ago, I decided to start the podcast, and it's just sort of like an extension of the website. But there's content on the podcast that you don't get on the website, but it kicks stuff back to the website and vice versa. And and I guess it's just a question of, it's just the nature of things to grow and expand, and that's what's so fun about the digital space, is that you literally can do anything you want with it. So we're just, trying to grow, and then I also own Nerdist.tv, so we want to start shooting some videos and expand that way. And it's not, I definitely think, especially for sponsorships, it's been better for us to offer multi-platforms rather than just any, vertical space. It's like trying to get sponsorship for the podcast alone was always a pain in the ass. Right. But if I can go to companies and say, hey, like this week Threadless is sponsoring all of the platforms at once, so they're getting the sponsorship for the week. So they get the podcast, they're getting the website. We're sort of tweeting back and forth at each other. But it's a company that I love. So I approached them with this idea because I buy a bunch of Threadless shirts, and they went for it. So I think multi-platform is great, because it gives people, I'm just explaining to a bunch of nerds what multi-platform is, they already know this, but computers are these boxes that are like robots that haven't gained awareness yet. But I guess it's just the idea of, it just allows you to, with the different platforms, play in each space as much as possible, but have a singular voice to keep everything together. That is an okay answer.
That's a great answer. Carrie, you started on the music platform, and now you're co-writing and producing a comedy show. How has that transition been? That's a dramatic platform shift to some people.
I actually see a lot of analogies between the two. I think that Fred Armisen is the co-creator and writer of Portlandia. We both started out in indie rock, and I think that the way that Portlandia works is also kind of starting from a really organic place and like trying to reach people on first sort of a community level. And a lot of people watch the show on the internet, on Hulu, on iTunes, and I think that we try to make pieces that work as part of a whole, but also work in as sort of succinct, individualized pieces, which I think has become really important in terms of length and just getting stuff out there. So I think there's a lot of similarities. It's just trying to find a new way to communicate with people, and I think music and comedy are kind of all going along the same path.
Cool. Did you have something to add, Scott?
I love your show and your band.
Thanks. Starstruck.
No, I think a lot of people talk about multi-platforms, like you have to kind of hit them all, but I really think that what we all have in common is we sort of just, that came about organically in a way. We just started trying to make people laugh, like you just put your videos out online, right? You had no thoughts about multi-platforming, or you just wanted people to see them, right? So, that's what I did with my radio show, was I just wanted to do a radio show, so I found a radio station who would let me do it, and did it for free, and then figured out, someone put it online as a podcast and figured out it was a podcast and stuff, and now it's, and it's on IFC now and stuff like that, which is all really great. But I think the impetus for me was just to go and entertain people, and like the Between Two Ferns stuff, we made it for a TV show which never got on the air, but we just want people to see it. We just put it on Funny or Die just so people would laugh at it. And I think a lot of times people get confused of well, should I do a podcast, or should I do stand-up, or should I do, they start thinking about the platforms more than they think about the impetus to actually entertain people.
But also, I think people should know about Scott is that Comedy Death Ray is the best comedy show. It's one of the best comedy shows in the country, certainly the best comedy show in Los Angeles, that, just this epicenter of really phenomenal comics for the last 6 years now, right? 7 years. And so, when you're talking about doing different platforms, it's not, like you said, it's not so much now it is time to do a podcast. It's just a natural extension, because you want to kind of express yourself and create content in that way. And, so you guys have a live component as well.
We've been doing it for 8 years, just entertaining people in Los Angeles, before I finally figured out, there's an internet. But you know, I mean, when I started doing comedy, there really wasn't an internet, or I know it's been around for a while, but like I know Mr. Show, like I think we had a website at the very end or something. I don't know, but you know. So it's an exciting world of like where I can put out a podcast and all of a sudden, you know, 100,000 people are listening to it, whereas, you know, just doing a live show in LA, 100 people come to it every week. So it's actually a great time to be a comedian, but, you know, I just want to say, like, always try to be funny before you start thinking about your strategy.
Yeah, for us, you know, multi-platform is important, obviously, because we want the most people to come primarily to the mothership, which is television. And when our TV shows do well, we see immediate surges in IFC on demand. We have a free on-demand platform at IFC.com. But what we really look for is an interesting multi-platform experience, and that's TV to TV. So TV to DVR is really important to us. Our core demo is 18 to 49, and we know that, you know, time shifting, I mean, that's how we all watch TV now. We're not afraid of it, we're not ashamed of it, we embrace it, and we have to make sure that we get people to create a sense of urgency to DVR the shows that we have on our air and want to watch them within the next couple of days. And in fact, when we look at the ratings, which, you know, we have to live and die by, we see, you know, sometimes 200% increase in viewership within 2 days or 3 days of show airing, and that's another platform that we have to operate under, of course, besides all the other places where people can see and get our content and enrich the experience.
But also, just as someone who likes nerdy stuff, like I love like ARG type stuff. And so, like, my favorite season of Lost was the season where they would show fake commercials and then you would go online and you could delve in and, you know, like, they were really using the space really creatively before everyone went to heaven.
It wasn't necessarily heaven. It was a post-life experience.
Okay. Spoiler alert. You know, and so as a comic, like, that's the closest thing I can offer to like ARG is like, you know, we say stuff on the podcast, it kicks back to the website, which kicks over to, you know, whatever else, the TV show or whatever else we're working on. So for me, as someone who likes nerdy stuff, it's kind of fun to create a universe to explore. One
of the stories I told with the Onion threw a party Friday night, which quickly addresses that point. We had a clip in our show about how Al-Qaeda attacked the U.S. with an incredibly adorable photo of a piglet wearing boots. And we knew that segment was going to air that night, so we played out the story through our social media accounts during the day. We planted the photo through personal accounts. The anchors started talking about it through their Twitter accounts. The network then started talking about it in breaking news. Internet slowing down. This piglet photo, cute piglet, was almost a trending topic on Twitter with the hashtag. So by the time it hit television, we had prepped a bunch of people and kind of dragged this experience out over these multiple platforms. And the next day, someone even tweeted, several people with the same sentiment. You know, the best part of my weekend was getting the cute piglet thing resolved by watching Onion News Network last night.
I have a question for you about that, because you know, with comedy, you want to